Remington Steve won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about the
Walkman.
Oh, yeah.
Walkman?
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 It's like Watchmen.
It's the Walkman. Yeah. It changed everything.
Changed everything for me. Changed everything for everybody. Before the Walkman, you know, they had transistor radios.
Yeah.
That you had a little, like, mono earpiece that you could put in there. Listen to your ball games. It was mostly AM.
Sports and news and
I don't even think you could get an FM receiver in some of those at the beginning.
No, I don't think so.
So, yeah, I mean, the freedom to take your music anywhere, and especially, like, your mixtapes, you could just be like, I made you a mixtape, I hope you like it. And then she could listen to it right in front of your face and say, I hate you. I'll never date you in real time.
You are a sad, pathetic person.
Ugh, you have horrible taste in music, too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, I remember when I first got a Walkman, and I think the first tape that I listened to, I think it was like 82 when I got my Walkman. Because it didn't really hit the States until, like, I know we're getting into it, but like 80, 81, it kind of became popular.
Yeah.
But I remember, I think the first song I listened to on my Walkman was Africa by Toto.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting. The very first cassette that I ever bought was a single.
Ooh.
It was one by Metallica.
Nice.
From like I think that was like 88 or 89 maybe.
You were an angry little boy.
I listened to a lot of Metallica back in the day.
My first tape, I had my first like portable musical sitch was I had one of those shoebox tape recorders.
Oh yeah,
you know, half of it is the
yeah.
thing, and you got the microphone, and I would tape all of my Happy Days and stuff before VCRs. I would tape them all to tape,
and
make my own little radio plays. But I think my first tapes were Kiss Alive.
Ooh.
Wild and Crazy Guy, Steve Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Way too young for that, but I loved it so much. And those are the two that I remember. And I remember when The Wall came out, Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Right.
My sister was totally into it. But my mom was like, no, I don't think, it seems like it's going to be too much for you. And I don't like this no education thing. This doesn't sound good. I don't know why I'm making my mom sound that way.
Yeah, she's not like
that at all. But she was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was weird. My parents were pretty, loosey-goosey with stuff. But there were some weird things that they would just, like The Love Boat.
They didn't let you watch?
No, I stopped being able to watch The Love Boat for whatever reason. And then I remember
TV. You were too young for that.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they were just like, you're developing horrible taste. So we have to take some of this garbage away from you and make you watch PBS. But
that's the piece theater.
yeah. It was The Love Boat. And then Mad Magazine, because I was reading one of their parodies and chuckled at some STD joke and at 7 or something.
Wow.
And they're like, well, I get it. I could see, like, you're a little young to be learning about herpes.
Did you? But you even realize what herpes was at the time?
Yeah. I was I was pretty...
Well, then you know what? It was too late.
It was too late. It was way, way, way too late. I just remember, being a kid, I would walk into all of these, I know this is such a speed bump, but I would walk into all of these traps with my stepdad, like, unknowingly.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the worst one, and this is so stupid, but we're coming back from church. And we're in the car, and my best friend's with us, forced him to go to church, whatever.
Yeah.
Poor little bastard. And we're driving back, and there's a couple of kids walking, doing something weird. My mom's like, wonder what they're doing. I was like, I don't know, probably just jacking off. I had no idea what that meant. I just thought it meant fooling around. The old man, what did you say? You, blah, 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 blah. Smack, smack, smack. I had no idea why I was getting in trouble.
Wow.
Yeah.
So again,
the Walkman.
Did you really know what herpes were? I did. I also want to contrast that with the fact that on the cover of the single of Metallica's One was literally a legless, armless torso with a skull head, and my mom just bought it.
Nice.
It was like, hey, here.
Well, that's cute.
Yeah. I'm sure she gave me a weird look of like, probably going to need therapy later.
Yeah. Well, this was easier than therapy. Just
Yeah.
give him what they want.
Yeah.
Let him listen to his metal music and punch stuff in his bedroom.
Yeah. I was never that angry. I just didn't talk to people.
I broke a lot of stuff. I was a breaker. I was a thing breaker.
I just got secluded and was like never talked to anybody.
What a couple of healthy young boys
I
we were.
sounded like I was a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. I think both of us, without our empathy, could have been.
That's true.
We could have been a James Patterson book, the two of us.
That's true. That's so true. All right, so the Walkman. Yeah, that was a healthy speed bump.
The Walkman.
Take Yourself Back, 1979.
Oh.
February 2nd, Sex Pistols bassist Sid Vicious is found dead from an overdose a day after being released on bail from Rikers Island Prison.
Yeah. And everybody blamed Nancy for it, but it's not her fault. They were both.
It was the heroin.
Yeah. They were addicts.
May 12th, disco occupies 8 of the top 10 spots of the Billboard Hot 100 charts for 2 weeks. The charts are led by Peaches and Herbs' R&B ballad single, Reunited.
Reunited, and it feels so good. Reunited like we know we should.
Yeah, okay, wow, that is not how that goes at the end.
It does.
My favorite part of that song is when they just lose their minds. June 9th, the Bee Gees tie Bing Crosby, Elvis Presley, and the Beatles with a record 6 consecutive #1 singles in the U.S. in less than a single calendar year with Love You Inside Out.
Okay. Way to go, Beach.
I could not name any Bee Gees songs beyond
you
the
could.
coal mining disaster in 1942.
Really? You can't Staying Alive? You don't know?
Yeah, but I've never heard of this Love You Inside Out.
I love you inside out. I love you upside down, inside out. I love you inside. No, I just made that up.
Familiar.
That goes completely made up by my head.
It does sound like it'd be the theme song for a serial killer. Love You Inside Out.
Yeah, I love your insides out. Oh, I just want to point out too, if you're interested in Sid Vicious, there's a great movie with Gary Oldman called Sid and Nancy.
Oh yeah,
where he plays Sid Vicious.
And if you're interested more in the Bee Gees, listen to our episode about the amazing Beatles cover movie they did. Yeah. Peter Frampton. Listen to that episode. It's the weirdest movie I've ever seen.
To bring it back, guess what I listened to on my Walkman?
What?
The cassette soundtrack for
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Yeah. So July 1st on the Walkman comes out in Japan.
Yeah.
It's this debut. Yeah.
Trying to be more international.
So the Walkman would have been nothing without the compact cassette, which was developed by the Dutch electronics firm Philips and released in August of 1963.
Crazy.
I had no idea it was that early.
Me neither.
Like the tape player thing you were talking about that you could record, like the pictures I saw, they're all from like 1964, and I was like, I had no idea they were that old.
Yeah, no, those were extremely popular.
Yeah.
I loved mine. It was like the closest thing to having like a camera, or it's like you could record crap.
I associate the cassettes so much with the 80s.
Yeah.
Like it's funny that they were around for 20 years before that.
Well, because cassettes became king because of the Walkman.
Right, that is true.
Everybody wanted portable music. The Walkman and the boombox,
The boombox,
you didn't have a LP play. You had your portable LP players.
You couldn't, but you couldn't walk around with it.
Well, it wouldn't sound very good.
I mean,
you have to walk very slowly.
Technically, even the cassettes, they couldn't walk. Until the Walkman came up with the device, you couldn't do it because it would just jiggle it so much that it would lose the tape.
Yeah.
In the late 1960s, the introduction of pre-recorded compact cassettes made it possible to listen to music on portable devices as well as on car stereos, though gramophone records remained the most popular format for home listening.
Sure. I mean, everything takes a while to take, because everybody has the collection already,
Yeah.
This is the problem when you get a new delivery service, whether it's cassettes or CDs or whatever, and then you got to redo your whole collection. It's like, am I going to do it again?
What am I going to do with all my VHSs? I got to buy DVDs now.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's just like on last week. It's all just streaming. Even music is streaming. Nobody buys anything anymore. Good Lord.
We'll definitely talk about that next week with the CD.
Yeah.
Another bittersweet, sad story.
It is sad. I mean, look, all of this month is going to be a big bemoaning of the lack of physical media anymore, really.
I mean, to a certain extent. I think Atari is the only one that's going to be able to get away with not
But
being
even
sad.
so, all
Yeah.
of the video game companies are pushing towards digital releases.
that's true.
They
That's
don't want physical media. They keep selling, the new PS5 Slim. I'm putting that in
Yeah.
quotes because it's like a half an inch smaller. But that one comes with a removable disc drive.
Right.
They're
Well,
pushing.
they don't want you to have physical media because then that means someone else can watch it or play it or
Right.
listen to it or whatever.
And they have the extra cost of
Yeah.
manufacturing the media.
Yeah,
instead of
I
just
mean-
downloading it.
Yeah. So the Mercury Record Company was yay December. Welcome to sad December. The Mercury Record Company, a U.S. affiliate of Philips, introduced music cassettes, as they called them, cleverly portmanteauing music and cassettes into music cassettes.
Okay, that's MUSI, capital CASSETTES, Musi cassettes.
Music cassettes, yeah. They introduced them to the U.S. in July of 1966. The initial offering consisted of 49 titles.
All right, that'll keep you going for a couple of
I
days.
tried to find the first one, and this was the only thing that came up. So
Was it a Beatles?
no, it was literally 49 different artists that were all released at the same time.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Well, they're all Brazilian.
it was from the Mercury Record Company.
Oh, okay.
So maybe one or two or all of them. I don't know.
Was Jim Croce one of them?
Was Jim Croce doing music at this time? I thought it was
Maybe.
a little later.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
You don't mess around with Jim.
Okay. Portable tape players of various designs were available, but none of them were intended to be operated by a person as they were walking. In the 1970s, Brazilian inventor Andreas Pavel devised a method for carrying a player of this type on a belt around the waist, listening via headphones, but his quote-unquote stereo belt concept did not include the required engineering advancements to yield high-quality sound reproduction, while the tape player was subject to mechanical shock, as would be expected with a person walking.
Yeah, sound like crap. When he came up with this idea, he was also the very first person to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And when he finally was able to master that, he's like, I think I can do it with music.
I think I got to add a third thing.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be
We're going to
music.
walk, we're going to chew gum, and we're going to listen to our music cassettes.
He actually sued Sony, claiming the Walkman idea was his own, but he lost.
He also sued Batman for the utility belt.
Batman should have sued him since it was around that time when Adam West was playing Batman.
No, nobody said the guy was a genius.
Sony co-founder Masaru Ubuka used Sony's bulky TC-D5 cassette recorder to listen to music while traveling for business.
Okay.
It was one of those, the bigger ones technically you could carry around, but they weren't great for walking. He asked Executive Deputy President Noria Oga to design a playback-only stereo version optimized for walking. The metal-cased blue and silver Walkman TPS L2, the world's first low-cost personal stereo, went on sale in Japan on July 1st, 1979, and was sold for around 33,000 yen, or about 150 American dollars.
You know what I love about yen? Is that the symbol for yen, like the money symbol, looks like a bunny.
It does. It's interesting. I also like the fact that in yen, they don't use any decimal points.
No.
A yen is a yen, it's one, and then everything's more expensive.
Just like Popeye. A yen when a yen when a yen.
A yen when a yen, yeah. Though Sony predicted it would sell about 5,000 units a month, it sold more than 30,000 in the first 2 months.
Good Lord.
It was a smash hit, the Sony Walkman. According to technology news website The Verge,
The world changed.
on the day the TPS L2 was released.
It was. It was
It
changed.
was, completely. I mean, it gave you such freedom. The Walkman was followed by a series of international releases. It was sold under several names, including Soundabout in the United States, Freestyle in Australia and Sweden, and Stowaway in the UK.
Nice.
Yeah, it doesn't make any Soundabout is terrible.
Freestyle?
Eventually, in the early 1980s, Walkman caught on globally, and Sony used the name worldwide.
It's a much better name
Yeah.
than the Freestyle or the...
Stowaway.
I actually think the Stowaway is the coolest.
That's weird.
It sounds like a weird, butt plug sexual device. Or something.
Stowaway.
Gotta get you the
well,
stowaway.
in Australia, that's actually where you carry your Walkman.
Crikey!
The TPS L2 was introduced in the U.S. in June of 1980. It was blue and silver and looked sleek as hell.
Oh, yeah.
It was just barely bigger than the compact cassette itself, which is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, they were still bulky, but it wasn't that much bigger.
But they
than a
fit so many guts. And by the time, it evolved, it did get so...
Oh,
I
no,
had
it-
one that
it-
was basically just the size of a cassette.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. In 1981, Sony released the second Walkman model, the WM2, which was significantly smaller compared to the TPS L2 thanks to quote-unquote inverse mounting of the power-operated magnetic head and soft touch buttons.
Well, you have to inverse the mounting if you're going to, make the size smaller.
It was like some engineer was like, what if we just turn it around? Oh, my God. We save like 40% of the space.
You get a raise. I think that was the one I got, was the smaller one. I didn't get one of the first.
One of the very last ones I got, literally, it was just a glass. It was just barely bigger than cassette.
Yeah.
And it was just like a glass case. You lifted it and you didn't slide in. You just set it down and then shut it, and that was it.
Yeah, they had some really cool ones.
It was crazy. Yeah. Sony applied the Walkman brand name to some transistor radios, starting with the matching blue SRF 40 FM Walkman in 1980, and added a radio to some Walkman cassette models, starting with the model WMF1 in 1982.
Yep.
I'm going to be giving a lot of these names. So there's crazy collectors that are all about this stuff.
All right, guys. Tell us if we're wrong.
Yeah. The first model...
Excuse me, Adam. I think that was the WFTP4 that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it was not blue, it was aqua.
No, it was blue. The first model with Dolby noise reduction system appeared in 1982. The Sony Watchman was introduced in Japan in 1982.
I remember that.
Remember the Watchman? Mm-hmm. It's a line of portable pocket televisions. The first model had a black and white 2-inch cathode ray tube display, weighed 23 ounces.
That was big and dumb. It was like this big old box with a tiny little screen.
Oh, yeah. It was so small.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. My dad had, it wasn't a Sony one. In fact, I think it was Philips. But it was like the size of like a piece of paper, like 8.5 by 11, and then had the little tiny screen, but it was on the edge, like just a little tiny screen, and you just prop it up, and it was like, and it just did the over-the-air stuff, whatever. But
it worked.
It was released in North America in 1984. Sony manufactured more than 65 models of the Watchman before its discontinuation in 2000.
Good Lord.
I didn't know it even lasted that long. That's crazy.
Well, it must have gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Because by then we had like portable DVD players and like little mini laptops and stuff.
The first ultra-compact cassette-size Walkman was introduced in 1983, the model WM20 with a telescopic case. Ooh, yeah, fancy. This allowed even easier carrying of a Walkman in bags or pockets. The first model with auto-reverse was released in 1984.
Oh, baby, that was the best. Then you didn't have to flip your tapes.
I know. In October 1985, the WM101 model was the first in its class with a gum stick rechargeable battery.
Okay.
Do you remember those?
No.
I'm pretty sure I had one of these because it looked like the little battery thing. You'd have to charge it, but it would look like I don't know if it was for a Walkman, but it was definitely Sony, and it was definitely like you would charge it and then stick it in. It might have been with one of the Discmans I had.
Right.
But it was crazy because it looked like a piece of gum. It was super weird.
Weird. I don't remember that.
In 1986, Sony presented the first model outfitted with a remote control, as well as one with a solar battery.
Okay. Now it's getting into gimmicks.
Ridiculous.
And the first one with...
Within a decade of launch, Sony held a 50% market share in the United States and 46% in Japan. Two limited edition 10th anniversary models were released in 1989 in Japan, made of brass and plated in sterling silver.
Wow.
Only a few hundred were built of each.
I'd like one.
They're very expensive and hard to find. 15th anniversary model was also made on July 1st, 1994 with vertical loading, and the 20th anniversary model on July 1st, 1999, which they considered to be the prestige model.
Ooh.
Yeah. Do you remember the vertical loading stuff? It was super weird because it didn't open. You just like jammed the cassette into it.
Yeah, I never had one of those.
It was weird. I never owned one, but I'm pretty sure they were still selling them when I worked at, it was July 1st, 1994. I was selling them at Kmart.
Nice. Yeah. I ended up having, and I think I still have it somewhere in a drawer or something, but I had the waterproof Walkman.
Oh,
with
the
FM radio.
Oh, yeah.
But I used to use that for running, and
you just sweat all over it.
Yeah, baby. No, but I would run to, I believe it was the Rocky III soundtrack. Which one was the one with
Eye of the Tiger?
Yeah. Was that 3 or 4?
I think that was 3, because I don't think 4 had Eye of the Tiger. I think it had a different one.
Rising up.
Yeah.
In the streets.
Well,
yeah, the one with...
all those soundtracks are amazing to run to.
Oh, the one with Living in America.
That was 4. That was 4. Because that's
4?
what he came out to. That's what Apollo Creed came out to when he gets murdered in the ring.
Well, I don't remember. It was I probably ran to both.
I mean,
I was a huge Rocky fan, but I just remember running around the back old dirt areas of the neighborhood, just
yeah.
listening to Meraki. And I remember when the one song would come on, you'd be
you start running a little faster.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, I can't. The music's in me. The music's
Rising
in me.
up, back on the top.
In 1989, Sony released portable video 8 recorders marketed as Video Walkman, extending the brand name. By 1989, 10 years after the launch of the first model, over 100 million Walkmans had been sold worldwide. 150 million units were manufactured by 1995.
Good Lord.
By 1999, 20 years after the introduction of the first model, Sony had sold 186 million cassette Walkmans.
Good God. I think I bought 2.
Yeah, I think I had 2.
Well, because they lasted back then.
Yeah, it was quality.
S lasted. You didn't have to re-up every 4 or 5 years because things just broke.
Well, that was
I'm looking at you, Sony TV.
But this is one of the reasons that I like Sony, because when my parents got married in the early 70s, one of their presents was like 17-inch Sony TV.
Yeah.
And we used that up until like 1989.
Oh,
I mean, it
yeah.
lasted like 20 years, 15, 18 years, something like that.
On the day I was born, my father, because dads didn't give an S about the whole birth situation, he bought a little portable Sony color TV so he could watch football.
Oh, yeah.
And I used that up until I was in my 30s probably.
Yeah.
And that's, and it still worked great.
My dad had one of those when he was in the Navy. He had one of those ball TVs, that you could like had a chain on the top. You could
love
hang
those.
up. Yeah, it was. I mean, granted, it was in the basement and like hidden away in a shelf somewhere. But I would randomly pull it out, and it still worked.
Yeah.
I mean, they just don't make stuff like that anymore.
Well, they don't make things to last. they realize that, if we make stuff really crappy, people have to buy it every few years.
Right.
Oh, and then the upgrades. And then, okay, we're going from 4K to 8K to 10K to 12K. Pretty soon, it's just going to be too much.
Yeah.
Too
yeah.
much. It's just.
I don't need to see that much detail on a person's face when they're reading me the news.
Actors, it's just you can see every pore.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You can see where the makeup is. It's like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. Poor actors.
In 1990, Sony released portable digital audio tape players called DATs, marketed as DAT Walkman.
Now, I remember the DAT. I don't know if I had one, but those had the little square cassette things.
They were almost looked like a floppy disk.
Yeah.
Like it was weird. The only people I knew that had those were like the huge like audiophiles.
Right, or musicians.
Yeah, people that were like, because you record on it, it was good quality. And it was extended further in 1982 for mini disc players with the MD Walkman brand.
I think I had one of those.
Yeah, the mini discs were weird too. From 1997, Sony's Discman range of portable compact disc players started to rebrand as CD Walkman.
Ugh, yeah.
The Discman was actually introduced in 1984.
Yeah, I remember having a Discman, and I remember you would have it in your car. Yeah. And you would pop the cassette adapter.
Yeah.
And then every bump you hit, it was like, all right.
The first one I had was bad. I mean, like when I'm just sitting at my desk, like listening to something, it's fine, but you could not walk anywhere with it. And then they had the anti-skip and like
protection.
Yeah, the shock protection. They tried to make them better, but you're walking around with a spinning thing on your belt.
A spinning laser on your belt. You don't think it's going to skip.
Yeah.
That's why analog is really a lot better than digital. There's no skipping or scratching or booping or bopping.
In 2000, the Walkman brand, the entire range was unified, and a new small icon W was made for the branding.
That's kind of dumb.
Well, I just remember it was that weird-looking W thing.
Yeah, but it's like, why?
I don't know.
You got some shame for the Walkman?
Yes. Portable compact disc players led to the decline of the cassette Walkman, which was discontinued in Japan in 2010.
That seems late.
That does seem late. The last cassette-based model available in the U.S. was the WM-FX290W, which was first released in 2004.
Interesting. Well, I remember. I mean, the Infinity that I bought, that had a cassette player in it.
Yeah.
And that was 2000 something.
Yeah.
2003 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that the last car that I had, that the Toyota I had a cassette player.
It was cool. I liked having a cassette player. It also was the first car I had a CD. It had like a 6 CD changer.
Oh,
in it.
that's
I was
right.
like, oh, baby.
Yeah, those were so weird.
Okay.
They all in the trunk, and you had to like get out. And, that one didn't.
No, those are the installed ones, like the 50 CD thing that people would have. No, this was like a 6 in-dash.
Oh, in the in-dash.
It was part of the, one of the options for the car.
Ooh.
The stereo options. But I was just so excited to have a CD player in the car that wasn't some skippy, bulky, black monolith piece of crap that I'd shove in a fake cassette to get going.
Which didn't work half the time anyway.
Nope.
The marketing of the Walkman helped introduce the idea of Japaneseness into global culture.
What does that mean?
Synonymous with miniaturization and high technology. It was a thing in the 80s where everyone assumed that Japan was going to take over the world.
Oh, God. Yeah, with gung-ho. Everybody was
it was,
deathly afraid
it was
of Japan.
because Japan was
doing
so
everything
far
better than us,
ahead
yes.
of us in all the technology.
Yes.
I mean, obviously they would have stuff way before we did. I mean, 3 of the 4 things that we're covering this month was introduced in Japan first.
Well, also, they would take something that we invented and make it much, much better.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's how it was. And they were really good at marketing. They were really good at product development. And they were really good at selling stuff.
Yeah.
And so everybody was like, well, Japan's taking over.
It's like, well, yeah, they're good at it.
Just relax, everybody.
It's just what a free market brings.
Yeah.
The Walkmen and Walkwomen in advertisements were created to be the ideal reflections of the viewing audience. Sony implemented a marketing strategy hiring young adults to walk around in public wearing a Walkman, offering nearby people to test out the product.
Hey, you want to listen to my Walkman?
Hey, I noticed you were eyeing my Walkman.
No, I wasn't. Weirdo. Get away from me.
Sony also hired actors to pose with the Walkman around the streets of Tokyo as an additional form of promotion. A major component of the Walkman advertising campaign was over-specialization of the device. Prior to the Walkman, meaning that it was designed for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Prior to the Walkman, the common device for portable music was the portable radio, which could only offer listeners standard music broadcasts.
Right.
Like your transistors.
Yeah.
The ability to play one's personal choice of music and listen privately was a huge selling point of the Walkman, especially amongst teens who greatly contributed to its success.
Oh, yeah. I mean, can you imagine kids today? Kids today listen to Daddy. Ooh, that sounded awful. Oh, that sounded awful. Listen to Stepdad Jimbo. You don't understand, man. When we didn't have headphones to put on and tune out, and, you couldn't just put the one little mono thing in and listen to a baseball game with somebody, and your parents could still be like, ah, and you could still hear them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, could you imagine being on a road trip with your horrible family with no headphones? You kids don't understand.
Yeah, it was. I definitely remember the transition because every time we'd travel to Grandma's house, it was a good 2-hour drive, and when I finally got my first Walkman, it was like, bye-bye, parents. I'm just going to tune out in the back.
What was that? Take your goddamn headphones off is what I said. Okay.
All right. A diversity of features and styles suggested that there could be a product which was the quote-unquote perfect choice for each consumer.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was a smart thing to do, is you have all of these different models.
Yeah.
Everybody loves to customize. Everybody loves to have their own little special version of whatever. And this was a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I mean, they had so many different models, like the sport model, which was that hideous bright yellow.
I had that one.
I didn't need a waterproof Walkman. I mean, I wasn't running around and sweating.
I was running in the rain, baby.
I would swim with it. It was great.
You couldn't. That was the
No,
problem.
it could
That's
only
what
so
sucked.
far, yeah.
And plus, I don't know if the headphones were
Probably not.
waterproof. No, they were. They were the yellow waterproof headphones that came.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because that would have been really stupid.
That would have been dumb. This method of marketing to an extremely expansive user base while maintaining the idea that the product was made for each individual.
Got the best of all possible worlds. Mass marketing and personal differentiation.
Yeah, it allowed someone to still feel like they were an individual.
Right.
Even though everybody had one.
Because you got to pick your type of Walkman. It was like Swatch Watch and all that crap. I mean, everybody had their own version of the biggest fad that everybody has. It's like, I'm an individual even though I'm doing what everybody else does. Because my Swatch Watch is gray with white.
When Sony released the first Walkmans, they featured 2 headphone jacks and a hotline switch, When pressed, this button activated a microphone and lowered the volume to enable those listening to have a conversation without removing their headphones.
Nice.
Yeah, that's clever. Sony chairman Aiko Morita added these features to the design for fear the technology would be isolating.
Nice.
Although Morita...
I thought it would be considered rude for one person to be listening to his music in isolation.
People bought their own units rather than share, and these features were removed for later models.
Yeah, you had to get a splitter if you wanted to listen to Walkman with your buddy or your lady.
Yeah.
Or your man.
Or
your dog. I don't know.
Your dog.
Whatever you like to listen to. Whomever is your... listening partner.
Listening partner, yes. No judgment here. The
Not
Gen
at
X
all.
Files.
My listening partner is Ripley.
Yeah. She listens to... She
so hard to get
loves the Bee Gees.
Sure she does. It's really hard to get the earbuds in her little ears, though.
The Walkman was the first of a long line of mobile devices to attract criticism for isolating its users, promoting narcissism, detachment, and rude behavior, while at the same time preventing interactions that are the basis for traditional place-based communities.
Yes. Let's confirm the fact that any new technology or anything, whether it's a magazine or a video game or whatever, it's going to lead to the destruction of society, Adam.
Yeah.
There's always these people that are so deathly afraid of anything different.
Yeah.
They have to demonize it. And I remember the backlash for the Walkman.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, she's going to be, well, you pretty much predicted what it is now, but it's like, oh, there's going to be a bunch of people, they're not going to talk to each other, I'm going to be listening to their music, and nobody's going to interact, and then society's going to crumble, because nobody's going to take care of each other, because you're all just listening to their stupid music.
I mean, I honestly, at this point, don't really want to talk to other people.
No. Well, that's because the internet, not the Walkman, Adam.
It's not. It just. I mean, you're right. At the end of the day, it all comes down to anything new with an older generation. People get scared, and it's like, okay.
You know what I'm scared of, Adam? I'm scared of becoming that old person.
Yeah.
It's like I'm okay. You know, I'm getting old. Yeah. I get it. There's no stopping it. But I don't want to be afraid. I'm trying to keep up with technology and what the stuff that's going on.
Because I'm trying so hard.
Well, I don't want to be like, them TikToks. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, yeah. I understand the negatives of social media and the negatives of all this stuff, but there's also positives. And the truth is, it's here, and there's nothing we can do
I mean,
about
you're not. It's you hating it is not going to make it go away.
And I just know, I don't think I will be scared of new technology.
The only thing that I am old manning about that
AI.
I literally no, not AI, Discord. I have no idea what the hell it is. I'm so confused by it.
Discord?
It's like a
It's like Twitch, isn't it?
No, not really. I mean, it is, but not.
Isn't it?
Because someone was like, "Oh, it's like Ventrilo or something," and I was like, "I don't know what the hell that is either."
Ventrilo.
It was like I don't know. I don't understand Discord. I have tried. I don't understand the basic concept of it.
Well, you're not afraid of it.
No, I just don't use it.
Right. There's a difference.
And I don't want to make other people not use it.
But that's fine. There's a huge difference between that's not for me. And it's for the devil. It must be destroyed, and nobody can have it.
I tell you, it's hard to fight that because at first I was just like, I should understand this. Like, what is going on?
Well, I think the thing that I'm fighting is this is stupid. You know what I mean? It's like to understand. You know, because it's so easy to just look at kids what they're doing today and be like, well, that's dumb. What are they doing? That's stupid. That's wasted time, blah, blah, bloop. But that's what our parents said. That's what their parents said to them when they were listening to their LPs. You know, it's all just, honestly, man, I think it's all just jealousy of youth.
Yeah.
And being scared of, not so much scared of the technology, but being scared of being left back.
Yeah.
And not understanding.
Feeling useless.
Insecure.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, how much further along would we be as a society if we had the internet sooner? I mean, maybe we would be destroying each other.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, there are definite arguments against the internet that I see, you know, that there are definite disadvantages that have happened because of the internet, whether it's misinformation or it's the easy dissemination of lies and fake news, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But there's really no downside to a Walkman.
Yeah.
You know?
No. I mean, okay. technically there is, according to some people.
Sure.
They actually called it the Walkman effect.
Oh.
It was coined by Husei Hosokawa in a 1984 Popular Mechanics article. And also, he has the greatest name ever. In his phenomenological analysis of this effect, Rainier Schonhammer argues that wearing headphones interrupts a form of contact between people in a shared situation, even if there is no explicit communication, thereby violating
an unwritten law of interpersonality reciprocity, the certainty of common sensual presence in shared situations.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, sure. He goes on to draw a similarity with the wearing of dark sunglasses, which irritates because there's an inequality in the balance of looking at and being looked at.
F him. It's just people being pissy. You know, I was the D-bag that always wore my stupid sunglasses inside and at night, you know, because I thought I was the cool cat.
Yeah.
Because it was. No, I don't. But, you know, I mean, look.
What happened?
Yeah, exactly. I got old, Adam. Old and ugly. No, it's just, I get it. Yes, it is isolating, but so is reading a book, you know?
Yeah.
So is reading a magazine.
It's not, look, people sat on trains before they had the internet, before they had Walkmans,
Yeah,
and
and
they
they
read
newspaper.
papers.
Yes.
Nobody talked to each other. They all just read the papers.
Look, it doesn't matter what technology there is. Everybody hates each other anyway, and nobody wants to talk to anybody, and we just want to be left the F alone.
When I am on the subway, I have my headphones on because I don't want to talk to you. I don't need to hear about whatever craziness you have going on.
Well, why do you want to talk to me?
I mean, you is fine.
Oh, no, you don't want to hear my craziness. Ugh.
Similarly, according to Hosokawa, Walkman users blatantly confess that they have a secret, something that you can't hear, which can cause negative feelings in observers.
You know how you fix that? You know how you fix that, Adam? What are you listening to?
Yeah.
The Bee Gees? Oh, okay, cool. See you later, buddy.
Yeah, there was a great video from a while ago where, like, every time, I think it was a sketch comedy show, but, like, it's, like, purposely, like, I have to take my headphones out. I have to take them off to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then you ask me an inane question that I don't know the answer to.
Right.
So I put my headphones back on.
Right.
Like, it just...
Society has survived a lot of inventions. We weren't supposed to survive the printing press, Adam.
Yeah, well...
That was supposed to just completely destroy the world. Too much information. What if they get false information out there, Adam? If too many people read, they're going to want to be landowners and they're going to want to vote.
That's true. Then what do we do?
Exactly. It's just, there's always been Chicken Littles.
These guys, Schoenhammer and Hosokawa.
Oh, man, I wish there was a detective show called...
Schoenhammer and Hosokawa?
Yeah.
I don't know, we got to write it.
Schoenhammer and Hosokawa.
The fact is that what they're essentially saying is that you can never have private time. Yeah. If you are in public, that means you have to be accessible to everyone all the time.
Right, and that's so stupid.
Yeah.
That's just saying that everybody in a public situation has to be constantly interacting with each other. And that just doesn't happen. We're not those type of animals.
Yeah.
We're social animals, but we also are very private animals, too.
Yeah, yeah. And whoever's listening to this podcast on their headphones right now, tell that person talking to you to shut up.
Yeah. Well, you're an antisocial dick if you're listening to us on headphones.
Both men, however, make an effort to counter negative accusations of detachment, isolation, and narcissism. Perhaps most importantly, Walkman listeners are generally happier, more confident, and calmer.
Yeah, because they're listening to their music and they're not listening to all the jibber jabber.
Yeah. The users are
unified in the autonomous and singular moment, neither as persona or as individuals, with the real, when the absence does not mean that the world is no longer worth attention. On the contrary, the subject's engagement sets him free to enjoy the world's sensitivity as a colorful and rich spectacle.
Make sure you clean off your microphone.
Hey, man, it's a guttural language.
On December 21st, 1999, Sony launched its first digital audio players. DAP. Yeah, acronym DAP. Under the name Network Walkman, alongside players developed by the VAIO division of Sony.
I remember VAIO.
I had 2 VAIO computers. In fact, I still have a VAIO laptop.
They still make VAIO?
No, this laptop is like 20 years old.
Oh.
And surprisingly, it still turns on and it still works.
It wasn't until this century, really, that we decided that everything was disposable.
Yeah. The first player, which used memory stick storage medium, was branded as MS Walkman shortly before the Walkman brand unification. Most future models would use built-in solid-state flash memory, although hard disk-based players were also released from 2004 to 2007.
Yeah, this is around the same time as the iPod, right?
Correct. They came with OpenMG copyright protection and until 2004 exclusively supported Sony's in-house A-track format.
Yeah, I remember the A-track.
You couldn't use an MP3. There was no support for the industry standard MP3 as Sony wanted to protect its records division, Sony BMG, from piracy.
Yeah. Well, and that, again, I mean, that was around the time where we had Napster coming in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, LimeWire and all those.
Yeah,
where you could pretty much download anything.
Oh, my God. I had an ex-girlfriend, who I won't name because I don't want to send her to prison. But, man, she would just pirate the F out of music.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, we had thousands of songs.
Oh,
and she
wow.
would get these really cool, like, remixes and mashups and stuff. And I think I still have them. But we had an Orb drive. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah.
It was like this big, chunky plastic cassette that hold like a gig. It was like, oh, my
Oh,
God,
yeah,
it's like a
yeah.
gig or 2 gigs. And we just had so much. She just was like an addict, man, just sitting there downloading. More music than we could ever listen to.
Yeah. I mean, you get to a point where it's like it's just the downloading is the adrenaline rush.
Sweetie, you have a problem. I do not have a problem.
Sony could not, however, repeat the success of the cassette player in the 21st century digital audio player market. Rival Apple's iPod range became a large success in the market, hindering Walkman sales internationally, though it fared better domestically. The network Walkman for several years had paltry market share and had also been struggling against numerous other rivals such as Creative, Rio, MPO, and iRiver. Do you remember all this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Although sales and share did eventually increase 5-fold in 2005 and continued improving, but still remained small.
What about the Zune?
I think the Zune actually came out in like 2010 or something.
Did it?
Yeah.
Was it that late?
I think so. Yeah. Microsoft doing its best to catch up.
10 years later.
Its pricing policy, Sonic Stage software, and lack of MP3 support in earlier years have been suggested factors for its paltry performance.
Well, here's what happened. The iPod came out, Apple Music came out,
Yeah.
and then that was that. Once you
Yeah.
could throw all of your music onto your computer, zip, zap, zap, make different mixes and all that stuff.
I mean, it was the fact that they didn't support MP3.
Right.
Because that was what everybody was using.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, because you could, copy your own CDs
Right.
into a digital format and it would be MP3.
But Sony was also used to getting its way. Like, when
Yes,
there were format
yes.
wars, it
would win.
hands down.
Yeah.
I mean, look at HD DVD versus Blu-ray.
And Betamax.
Yeah, okay. So two big losers. Betamax.
They didn't always, but they obviously with the Walkman. I mean, by this point they had sold like 100 billion Walkman. It's like they knew what they were doing.
But unfortunately, because of music piracy and all of this
Yeah.
stuff going on, the MP3 just became the standard.
Yeah,
Because it's like, why would you do 8-track?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
A-track.
8-track. Why would you do 8-track if there was no way to copy it or
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it was just like, oh, I can just put it on one device or
Right. Its U.S. market share in 2006 was 1.9%, placing it behind Apple, SanDisk, Creative, and Samsung. In Japan, its share in 2009 and 2010 was between 43 and 48%, slightly ahead of Apple.
Yeah.
Japan was all about using the Sony stuff.
Well, Japanese consumers are also extremely loyal
Yes.
to
Yes.
products that treat them well. We are not. We're just a bunch
No.
of willy-nillys
I
going
want,
wherever the wind blows us.
Whatever's good, give it to me.
Give me a Zune and a Zima, and I'm just fine.
So meanwhile, Sony Computer Entertainment, a Sony division who are not involved in Walkman products, officially described their PlayStation Portable in 2004 as the 21st century Walkman.
Yeah.
Which that did not last for very long either.
I was so cool, though.
PSP, I know. It was so rad.
I don't think I had one. I had a friend who had one. I really wanted one.
Yeah.
But it was just, because it had games. You could watch shows, movies and stuff on it. You could listen to music on it. It just was this cool little,
Yeah.
portable entertainment unit that it was just, it just sucks that I think stuff like the Steam Deck,
Yeah.
those are becoming more popular.
Yeah.
The gaming handhelds. But I miss the old all-in-one. I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's your stupid cell phone now. But I miss. But I miss not everything has to be a phone. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
just miss
yeah.
having gadgets.
Yeah.
I love gadgets, man.
Right.
And we're not getting gadgets anymore.
No.
We get a phone. That's a cool gadget. I'm not saying that the phone
Yeah.
isn't a cool gadget, and iPads are cool gadgets, but you had a backpack full of gadgets.
Yeah, you had stuff.
You had your Walkman.
Yeah.
You had your Watchman. You had your transistor radio. You had your portable LP player. It was a big backpack.
It was.
Let's be honest. No, but it was just
Portable laser display.
yeah, it was like having
Your
a
fold-out
utility belt.
screen. Yeah.
Exactly.
Although I will say, in relation to the PlayStation Portable, the PlayStation did just release. They're just releasing that PS5 thing. That's essentially a PlayStation Portable.
It's not. That's what's so disconcerting about this thing. It's cool, but
Yeah.
it's a over the internet.
I mean, you're essentially playing your PS5 via the thing.
It's a great gadget if you have a bunch of people in your family.
Right.
And somebody wants to play the PS5 while somebody else is watching TV or whatever.
Right.
It's a nice thing to have. But unless the internet's great or whatever,
Yeah,
if you're away
yeah.
from the house, it's just not that practical. It's just
Yeah.
a cloud gaming device, basically.
Yeah. Although through the phone and one of the PlayStation apps, I have played my PS5 from across the country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just not good quality.
But if you have a laptop,
Yeah,
and a
yeah.
PS5 controller, you
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
They have the remote play. It's just,
Right.
it's just an integrated way to do it. The one thing that I do like that they're releasing with that are kind of cool is the earbuds.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
3D audio earbuds.
Yeah, I've heard the earbuds are apparently very high end.
They're great, but honestly, I mean, if you're going to do gaming at home, I would say get the over the ear.
Yeah, the
There's gonna be
more
better
noise
quality,
canceling. Yeah.
And they're more comfortable too in the long run.
Yeah. Walkman portable digital audio and media players are the only Walkman branded products still being produced today. Although the network prefix is no longer being used, the model numbers still carry the NW prefix. There are 7 series models still being made, running from entry-level to high-end models.
Oh my God, the new Walkman are awesome.
Yeah.
I've checked them out. I mean, I'm not as much of an audiophile as I used to be. I don't
Yeah.
listen to as much music as I did. I think as you get older, you don't listen to as much music. I don't know. At least I don't.
Yeah.
But the Walkman are so great because with the technology, it's all the stuff that you can't fit into your phone to make it sound as good.
Right.
You can get like a 3D audio Walkman from Sony, or you can get something with DTS. You can get something that's, it's going to sound so much better. And if I were still a true audiophile, I would do that. I still think that the original iPod is amazing.
Yeah,
I have a lot of friends who still use it because it's just a great music player. It's still really, I think it's superior to the phone in terms of,
It also really depends too on headphones,
Yeah.
the headphone quality. Because like I have a pair of like knockoff Bluetooth headphones that I use, and I constantly have to have it turned up to 100%.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I mean when I use the Apple like headphones, it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Like the bass is incredible.
Yeah.
But they're wired, and it's like I don't want to pay $200 for the Apple earbuds or whatever they're called.
Yeah,
iBuds.
I still listen to. I don't have wireless earbuds. I have wireless phones for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because come on,
I'm not a caveman.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I haven't seen the real reason. I also think they look kind of goofy. At least they're better now. The first wireless ones with the big old sticks coming down.
Ugh, weird.
It's just like, what are you doing? But I haven't gotten to the point now where the wire is so inconvenient that I need to, pump up to the buds.
Yeah, I had bought those during the pandemic, and I was walking around, and I never really noticed it until the pandemic was ending and things started opening up, and like I'm walking through much more traffic.
Yeah.
And it's like before I was like, well, it doesn't matter because everything's
ghost town.
everyone's asleep and in their beds and
Screaming in their pillows. Like, what is that faint sound?
Yeah. So yeah, the Walkman. It was huge. I loved it. I mean, my Discman, I rarely ever like walked around with it, but I would sit and just listen to music nonstop when I'm supposed to be asleep.
Oh yeah.
Sitting in bed, just listening to a lot of Pink Floyd, a lot of Metallica.
I remember going with my mom. We were running some errands or something. I always had to go with her to run her GD errands.
Yeah.
And we stopped by, and got the Walkman. I remember opening up the package. I remember the smell.
Yeah.
I remember popping
yeah.
in the first tape, popping in the batteries, and I remember every moment of my first Walkman as
Yeah.
it was like it just happened yesterday.
Yeah.
It's weird. I can't tell you that about just about anything else.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I don't remember what the first, it was probably Donkey Kong. I was going to say, I don't remember what the first ColecoVision game I played. I'm pretty sure it was Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
But I remember that day because it was truly life-changing. I mean, that sounds like hyperbole and everything that we've went through, but you don't understand how, especially as somebody who needed alone time, that had a home situation that wasn't always the best,
Right.
and isolated myself with either books or action figures or whatever, and then
Yeah.
once you grow out of the action figures, then it's the books, and it's, you know, you got to find ways to tune out the yelling and the blobbity bloops. And when that power came of putting on your headphones, it was like being liberated in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. And just how much of a part of my life from then on through college that the Walkman was. And then through the Discman. I remember so clearly in college with my first Discman. I was flying home from college, and I had just purchased the Pink Floyd, you can fly. What was the one that came out?
Learning to Fly?
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the Momentary Lapse of
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I don't remember music anymore. But I remember popping that in, and as the plane was taking off, listening to the Pink Floyd, you know, and those moments were just engulfing, you know? It takes your whole body and your mind and everything and just focuses it onto this moment that I don't think anything else up until that point did, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And made your private life your own soundtrack. That was what was so great, is you could put together your own soundtrack for the day.
Yeah.
And you walk around and you're going through your own montage.
You are the star of your own movie.
Truthfully, man.
I know.
No
I know.
BS there.
No, totally. And for me, a big part of it was listening, being able to have the headphones on and really listening to the music.
Oh, yeah.
And like really hearing, you know, the way it was intended to be heard.
Yeah.
Like it was really incredible.
Plus, you could blast your Metallica or whatever Satanist music you listened to back then, but you could blast it, and you're not bothering anybody, and you don't have your parents being, "What are you listening to that crap for?
Yeah,
give me that tape. I'm putting it in the trash."
In the trash.
In the trash.
Oh, in the trash. Okay.
Trash compactor. Gonna compact it. Remember trash compactors?
Yeah.
Man,
they're still around.
This just was so weird.
This is what's horrible about our world. We've lost trash compactors.
Trash compactors, I just remember. You had to buy the special bag.
Yeah.
Because we had a trash compactor. And I just loved putting like cans and bottles and stuff and then hearing the... I was such a weirdo. Destructive weirdo. And that's why I needed my Walkman, so I could have my own sinister thoughts.
This episode has not allayed my fears that we are serial killers. So
hey, look, man, just one last thing. So the Walkman was the beginning of personal entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, where you could curate and control what you were listening to. And that was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
It allowed you to be an individual.
Yes. I mean, you could do it at home. You know, we all had our rack stereos and stuff.
Sure.
But to be able to take your music on the go and, like we said, create your own soundtrack, it was just the freedom that it allowed you to just enjoy life more, I think. You know, bopping and booping around with music in your ear, it makes you a happier kid.
It does. It does.
Boop and bop it, kids.
You got to booping and bopping. I mean, and if it wasn't for the Walkman, we wouldn't have music on our phones. We wouldn't have, you know, MP3 players. We wouldn't have any of this stuff.
No, we would have nothing, and you'd like it. Well, you know, if you can pick up a Walkman pretty cheap, you know, an old one. But I don't see, look, this isn't like DVDs or whatever. You don't need to put a Walkman in your GD collection. But if you are an audiophile and you really like music and you want something that's punchier than your phone, got a couple extra bucks, look into the Sony Walkmans that they have now, because you can get something really cool that's really going to make a difference in your music. And it's also, again, it's a cool conversation starter, because people will be like, what the hell is that? Is that a phone? Like, no, it's a Walkman. A walk what?
Don't you mean a walk person?
Yeah, okay. On that note, but you're absolutely right on it. So that's about all we have.
Yeah, that's all we got for the Walkman. But it was such they were so great.
It was a life-changing gadget.
It's hard to understand, because now everybody just has a phone and has 1,000 billion songs, access to
everything.
I mean, it doesn't matter. But it was huge. It was like the VHS player. It was like, it was you being able to have more control.
Well, that's the thing about all of these gadgets that we're talking about this month, is they all gave an extra sense of freedom to the consumer, a freedom of choice, because, we were given what we watched. You either watched this, or this. You either listened to the radio, you either watched your TVs, you didn't have your VHSs, you didn't have your choices.
Yeah.
And once we got choices, man, once we could take our favorite songs from an album and put them together in a mixtape, that was another thing that was just huge. Anyway, count your blessings, youngins. Because your old stepdads took care of all the... We had to live through all the dark times.
Oh, our personal Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have music.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back next week. We're going to cover the thing that the industry tried to give you less control.
Yes.
The CD.
What killed the cassette? The old CD.
Yeah.
I really should have had this about an hour ago, but whatever.
Well, it'll kick in right near the end. Hey.
Here we go. Welcome to the Gen X.
Whoa, that was weird.
Just like a whole gush of saliva went slooshing into my mouth right then.
Slooshy sloosh.
I guess Red Bull is saliva-inducing.
Salivating?
All right, let this subside for a second. Good Lord. It'll be just enough time for the tree trimmers to come back. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, America's Funniest Home Videos, already in progress.